Inner Earth and Agartha. By Ryan Griffin. Earth, is there more to her than we can see and know now? For thousands of years ancient man has told strange stories of encounters with mysterious people from inside the earth. Many cultures have written in oral histories of being guided or having meetings with these beings from inside the earth, and not all of them look human either. The Hopi tribe has legends of being guided to safe subterranean cities during the end of what they called the third cycle by the ant people. Even in modern-day society there is rumors of Navy admirals having encounters with beings from deep within the earth. These underground beings have networks of cities and whole breakaway civilizations living underground. Many call these civilizations and cultures the Agartha network, as well as many other names such as Shambhala or Shangri-La. Some of the well-known places on Earth where these cities are located beneath are Mount Shasta, California, the Himalayas in Tibet, parts of New Zealand, Australia, both polar regions of the planet, Hawaiian Islands, France, Switzerland, parts of Japan, as well as many places under our oceans. The beings from Agartha are for the most part living and working together and are peaceful in their coexistence. Many of these civilizations are far more advanced both spiritually and technologically, and therefore can see the surface as a dangerous and self-destructive place. They cooperate together to stay away from the surface population as much as possible. Agartha is a place that has the records of our true Earth and human history, as well as aspects of many of our ancient civilizations, such as the Maya, that broke away from the surface and continued their evolution underground with more advanced societies. Many of the galactic cultures that are interacting with Earth today, such as the Pleiadians, Arcturians, Saurians and many others, are working closely with the Agartha network to assist in the transition of vibrational shift that our planet and her inhabitants are undergoing at this time. The Agartha network is in fact made up of many of the galactic civilizations that had part of their collectives choose to stay on Earth in the past. These collectives merged their societies with ancient breakaway civilizations and many other indigenous non-human species that were native to Earth far before modern-day humans were around. There are natural as well as artificially made cavernous areas under the surface, within the crust, that can be as large as small states such as Rhode Island. This inner Earth Agartha network made their cities in some of these natural caverns, as well as use their technologies and spiritual mastery over matter to make artificial spaces in the crust too. In my opinion, the Earth is not completely hollow as some speculate. I think it is more like a honeycomb structure. A good analogy of the Earth's crust is a Hershey's candy bar that has had air blown into it while it was hardening. There are lots of small and a few big empty areas of space where the air was trapped. Of course, this is just an analogy and it is not exactly like this. These underground areas have many forms of plant and animal life that has evolved over the millions of years. There are bioluminescent plants and animals that give off light, as well as artificially made light sources that have been made for ecosystems to grow and flourish. There are light sources that are powered using zero-point energy and light sources that use the geothermal energies of the planet. The underground world is as full of life and diversity as the surface of the planet, and these ecosystems are a big part of the Agarthan life. The cities of Agartha are huge and beautiful beyond imagination. Most of their structures are made of crystalline materials as well as other materials that are not yet known to the surface population. These civilizations are so advanced that they can manipulate physics and matter to build structures and cities that are only dreams to us now on the surface of the planet. Their living quarters and building are mostly round, but there are other forms as well. The civilizations of Agartha operate much differently than we do on the surface. They are in balance with Mother Earth and respect her sacred lands and nature and live in harmony with the plants and animals. They do not pollute the lands, and they have many technologies to deal with waste and sustain clean energy for their cities. The Agartha network has many different species of beings that are part of the society. Some of these beings are what's known as mantid beings, reptilian beings, Sasquatch beings, and many other forms of humanoid beings. There are also creatures that we today consider mythological beings such as unicorns, merpeople, fairies, and gnomes. All these different species of beings work together in harmony and have the common goal of one day making this entire planet a safe haven and living library for the rest of the galaxy. One of the cities I would like to focus on as a representation of Agartha is the city of Telos, which is located under and in present-day Mount Shasta, California. This civilization is a very highly spiritually and technologically evolved civilization that lives on a higher vibrational plane than we do on the surface. They are a fifth-dimensional civilization, so they are not perceptible to us in a way that we can see them physically yet. Their reality is just as physical to them as ours is to us, but since they are vibrating higher than we do, we cannot perceive them unless we raise our vibration to that level of density. Telos is what is left of the ancient Lemurian civilization. When the elders of Lemuria learned of the demise of their civilization, they migrated sacred objects and temples of their culture into the mountain of Shasta. The inhabitants of this great city of light are human-looking beings that range from 7 to 8 feet tall. They are slender with long hair and usually white clothing. They have developed their consciousness enough to communicate using ESP or telepathy, although they do use their voices at times to sing. They are highly advanced and have technologies such as replicators that can even replicate biological material at an atomic level, zero-point energies, and spaceships or UFOs. Their civilization's technologies are mostly controlled using their thoughts, and they use crystals as an energy source to power their cities. These beings have the ability to lower their vibration to become visible to us in our physical dimension, but will only do so rarely for the right circumstances and the right people. The city of Telos is a combination of natural surroundings of nature, crystalline round buildings and round homes, and sacred temples that were saved from the Lemurian civilization that was on the surface. The city is lit as bright as a day on the surface by a giant glowing mass of light that is suspended above the center of the city. The inhabitants of Telos are working closely with the Galactic Federation of Light as well as the Confederation of Worlds to assist Earth and the surface population in the ascension to a higher vibrational plane of existence. They work in the background and help in the energetics of the planet, such as the ley line grids and portals, but will not interact directly with the mass public of the surface population until our consciousness is ready. The Agarthans in the past had interacted with the civilization of Atlantis and gave them crystal technologies that ended up being greatly abused. This abuse of technologies and power led to a destabilization of the balance of feminine and masculine energies of the civilization, and they soon fell into chaos. The Atlanteans used the power of the technologies to enslave and conquer other indigenous races on the planet. They ended up ultimately destroying their own civilization by conducting certain experiments that messed with the Earth's natural rhythms and cycles and led to the sinking of the continent they lived on. The Agarthans vowed to never again give technologies to societies that were not yet spiritually advanced enough to be able to handle the responsibilities and power of these technologies. Even today there are factions of the Agartha network that are reluctant to help our surface societies because of the self-destructive traits we still have today. On a side note, I believe we are at this time in the process of transitioning past these self-destructive and violent behaviors to a society based on acceptance, peace, and love. The Agarthans ultimately do see the surface population of humanity for what it is, divine beings of source that are love at their core, and the Agarthans are working continuously to broker a negotiation with the galactic councils and certain factions of the surface Earth governments to bring about the disclosure of their existence and the introduction of certain lower-level technologies to start out with to improve the quality of our surface societies. Our governments of the surface have known of the existence of these civilizations for quite a while now, at least since World War II, and possibly much earlier than that through ancient sacred texts of past civilizations and excavations of ancient sacred sites. The governments in the past have refused to work with them for the betterment of our human existence. The governments have made progress in this area and are working out deals with the Agarthans now to bring about a better way of life for the surface. One instance in recent times of our surface government interacting with the Agarthans is the case of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. Admiral Byrd was a polar explorer and expedition leader for the U.S. Navy. Admiral Byrd wrote in his now classified diary about an encounter he had on February 19, 1947 with beings from the inner Earth. These beings referred to themselves as the Aryan E. This occurred while he was flying in his plane over the North Polar region. He was suddenly escorted to a city of theirs where he sat down and had a meeting with one of the elders of this race of beings. These beings were concerned for the planet and said they have never interfered in our wars before, but with the introduction of atomic bombs they had to step in for the sake of the planet and for many other forms of life. They tried to contact our governments in their flying machines in 1945 but were met with hostility and shot at. There is also evidence that Admiral Byrd uncovered and interacted in a hostile way with a breakaway Nazi faction that did not remain with the rest of Germany. This happened during an expedition to the North Pole region. The expedition was called Operation High Jump and was a U.S. operation that was designed to find hidden underground Nazi bases but told the public it was for other reasons such as climate research and oil mining prospecting. This operation was a huge operation with unlimited funding, over 5,000 troops, an aircraft carrier fully stocked with fighters, and he also had accompanying destroyers to go with the carrier. The operation was supposed to last 8 months but it only lasted 8 weeks because upon arriving at the Arctic Circle he encountered Nazi anti-gravity spacecraft and suffered heavy casualties in battles with these craft that had exotic beam weapon technologies. Of course, all of this was classified and covered up by the US government, but in a later interview Admiral Byrd did mention that our next enemy would come from the poles and can travel from pole to pole at astonishing speeds. I believe he was referring to the Nazi breakaway civilizations and spacecraft they had. Overall, I would say that the Inner Earth and Agarthan network are a big part of our history and what's going on in the modern-day society. The implications of this whole other world under the surface are just as far-reaching and profound as the issue of the UFO and alien cover-up, and our society needs to start seriously looking at the history and impact that this other world and its inhabitants have had on us. Our civilization needs to start seriously considering the claims of people's interactions with these beings and to try to petition our governments to release all information they have on the Inner Earth and Agartha network. We often look to the stars and wonder about UFOs and aliens coming from there, but maybe we should be looking in the other direction and paying attention to what's going on right below our feet. There's no doubt that these beings are playing a big role in the ascension of humanity and this planet, and we need to acknowledge this and start working with them to better our planet and speed up this ascension process. Supporting pictures that go with this blog are attached in slideshow form at divinehood.com. Thank you for taking your time to read this blog. If you have any topics that you would like me to cover, you can contact me at divinehood.com or through Jamie at awakeningourtruth.com. I will do my best to cover the topic if I am knowledgeable of what you want covered. Much love to you all, and remember, be the change you wish to see. Ryan.